LSE just full of posh private school students? Is LSE hard work? People say LSE has no social life. Is this true? Like, what do you think? How have you found LSE so far? Does everyone at LSE just want to go into investment banking and finance? Hi guys, my name is Imogen, I'm 20 years old and I'm currently studying geography with German at LSE. Now, I've been at LSE for about a month and a half. Honestly, I don't know where that time has gone. I have spent a lot of this term at home because of Corona and the situation and things, but I am now back in London for lockdown, and so I'm hoping to create a whole load more LSE content for you in the next few weeks. However, today I thought we would talk all about my first impressions of LSE. So I have some questions here. Some of them have been asked in my YouTube comments, some of them have been DMs from people on my Instagram. If you do have any questions about LSE or anything, do feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I do try and reply to all of them, and I'll leave my Instagram on screen now, and also it is in the description down below if you're interested. So the first question here is LSE hard work? And honestly, yes, 100%. Having had a year of education, I was shocked when I came back to it. I was like, where on earth did all of this work come from? Because we had Freshers Week and then we had Welcome Week, and we still didn't have that much work in Welcome Week. And then in week 2, it literally just hit me, and I was like, where did all of this come from, and what on earth am I meant to do with all of these academic journals, these readings? Like, I was so lost with what I was meant to be doing. And I know university is all about independent study, and realistically I probably should have just seen this stuff coming, but I didn't, and it was a bit of a shock to the system. But I think I'm kind of getting used to it now, and I think if you're watching this, I don't know, in future years or when you've just started university, it does just take a little bit of time to settle back into like education, what you're doing, and also just to get used to a new style of learning. That being said, I'm absolutely loving my modules at the moment. The work that I'm doing is super interesting. So I have 3 geography modules and 1 German module at the moment. So my 3 geography are Introduction to Geography and like its concepts. I've got Introduction to Geographic Research Methods, which is a little bit dry, but I'm starting to enjoy it. And Sustainable Development, which by far is my favourite module. It's just so interesting. And it's also quite similar to my A-level course, which means that I kind of have a little bit of an understanding when we start that course. And my German course is actually called German Language, Culture and Society. And I really enjoy that course because even though it does have a textbook and like we do have different topics that we're doing each week, it's a little bit more kind of free-flowing and discussion-based, which I definitely really enjoy. In terms of essays, I am literally just starting my first essay now, and we're on week 7 of term. So I've been really lucky that I haven't had many due in, but most of my friends have had 1 or 2 so far. It certainly isn't like an essay a week, but it isn't like non-existent. You do have to do a bit of work. And the next question, which kind of makes me laugh, is LSE just full of posh private school students? I would say there are like certainly a lot of private school students at LSE, but there's also a lot of state school students, and it's not like there's a big like defining line between the two. I have friends who some of them went to private school and some of them went to state school, and I can't tell the difference, and I don't see them as any different. I think the important thing here is that it does kind of depend on who you're choosing to mix with. So for example, I'm staying in an accommodation which is one of the cheaper LSE halls, but if you're looking at, for example, Urban S Westminster, which is one of the more modern, it looks more like a hotel. It's really nice halls, but it does obviously cost more because you're paying for like having a nicer room. Then you're gonna find more international students and probably more private school students because they're just naturally the ones who are more likely to afford that sort of accommodation. And the next question is, does everyone at LSE just want to go into investment banking and finance? Certainly a lot of people here do want to go into investment banking and finance, and I've been surprised about how many students who aren't doing like the economics or maths courses who also want to go into banking, finance, law, all of those sorts of careers in the future. At the moment there is a lot of talk about spring weeks, which are like a 1-week internship in, I think they're in law, but mainly they're in banking and finance, and the applications are really competitive for those, and lots of my friends are applying for them. But I don't think the focus is quite as big as I thought it would. So I'd heard a lot about LSE being like, oh, well, if you go to LSE, you're just going to end up being in finance. If you go to LSE, you just want to be an investment banker. And I came here thinking that's certainly not what I want to do. I have no idea what I want to do in the future, but it's not in finance. And as much as people do really want to go into these careers and they are doing these applications, it's not the only thing that you hear about. It's not the only thing that we talk about. So I wouldn't be put off by knowing that LSE does have a lot of people going into investment banking and finance if that's not something you're necessarily interested in. However, one thing that I have noticed that I didn't really expect to happen was there's kind of a split between the humanities-based courses and the maths-based courses. So on the maths-based courses, they have a lot more first of all, there's a lot more students on those courses, and on the humanities ones we do end up having a lot more reading. And just one example of how you kind of notice this split, so this week is actually reading week for any students who have reading. So the humanities based courses like social anthropology, geography, I think politics and IR also have a reading week this week. But if you're doing something like, I don't know, maths, economics, or actuarial science, then you won't actually have a reading week this week. And that's just one place where you kind of notice the difference between the two almost sides of LSE. And I think if you're on the maths, economics side of LSE, then yeah, you will find an awful lot of people who want to go into banking and finance, but that's kind of less true on the humanities side of courses at LSE. The next topic that I want to talk about is that so many people have messaged me being like, people say LSE has no social life. Is this true? Like, what do you think? How have you found LSE so far? Honestly, I've had a great time. I've made so many new friends. I don't really know where this rumour's come from that people at LSE don't have a social life. Yes, we have like a huge workload, but also what I found is people tend to work really, really hard and then also like play really, really hard. Like work hard, play hard is definitely the mantra for a lot of people here. However, that being said, Corona has obviously put a stop to a lot of our socialising and a lot of our plans, particularly now when we're in lockdown. And I don't think that's going to change massively before next year's freshers. So I think maybe if you're looking at applying to LSE, this is kind of an important thing to hear about. We can meet up with other people. Obviously, universities are still open. So at the moment, I can go to the library and I can see my friends from a distance with a mask on and just take all the precautions that I need to take. Nobody knows what freshers is going to look like next year or what things are going to be like next year. But honestly, if it's the same as this year, then I don't think you have too much to worry about. People are still really friendly, and actually in some weird way, people are more friendly because they know that it's so difficult to make friends at the moment. And so I think a lot of people are putting themselves out there and making a lot more effort than they necessarily would have done if it was just like a normal year. The next question that I got asked was, what is the support like at LSE, talking academically, mentally and socially? So I've actually been really impressed. Obviously, again, this year looks completely different to last year or any other year, but the support that we've been offered has been really good. From the residential life team, there has been so much support in terms of like peer mentoring. I don't really know what else they offer, but we've had so many emails through being like, oh, if you need counselling or if you just want to have coffee and a chat, like there are support groups available if you're struggling in the halls, which I think is really good. And then in terms of academic support, there's LSE Life, which offer workshops on, I think, writing essays and loads and loads of different things to do with your academics, and they will definitely support you. Also, I am part of the Geography Society, and within the society we actually have this scheme where you're part of a geography family. So your geography family is formed of 2 or 3 first year students and a couple of second year students, and basically the aim of this kind of scheme is to meet up with your geography family, and you can ask them questions about how to be successful in like your geography degree and how to take notes. It's just basically someone on hand who has already been through first year doing geography at LSE to ask any questions that you might have. On top of that, from the university itself, you have a personal advisor, tutor, mentor, I don't really know. They use all of these words interchangeably, and you meet with them, I think, 5 times a year, and you just talk about like how you're doing in terms of your grades and your academics and how they could further support you. So that's, again, just another really nice way of them supporting you academically. Another thing that I've had so many messages about is accommodation, like which halls are you in, which halls would you recommend? And I have a few tips which aren't necessarily my first impressions. I absolutely love my accommodation, I love my room, I've got such lovely people here. But a few things that you need to know. So accommodation opens in February, and as soon as you get your offer, you can start looking at accommodation. Accommodation at LSE is first come, first served. So as soon as you have your offer, I would advise you to firm it if you know you want to go to LSE, because as soon as you have firmed your offer, you can then start looking and applying for your accommodation. Personally, I would say that LSE halls are better than intercollegiate halls, just because everyone's doing the same thing as you, they're going to the same place as you, and there's more of that kind of community feel. So the LSE halls are like Saunders, Rosebery, Passfield, Bankside. Just have a look on the website and you will find out all about those. Each one of these halls looks a bit different, it has different types of rooms, but more importantly, each hall kind of has a different vibe, and I would recommend that you have a look online at what sort of vibe the halls have before necessarily picking one just based off the room type, because actually the people that you're going to meet are in some ways more important than what your room actually looks like. The next question I received is everyone at LSE super intelligent and really opinionated? And Honestly, I have some quite interesting feelings on this because when I first got here, I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone is really, really clever. But it was just the kind of conversations that you're having that I didn't really expect to be having. So for example, the other day we had the US elections and we were having a conversation and there was such a range of students in here. Some students were doing maths, some students were doing politics, and you kind of expect them to be interested in it. Some students are doing like actuarial science, and honestly every single person was able to engage in the discussion and have an opinion. And I think that's one thing that I didn't expect that surprised me about LSE, was the fact that everybody is really intelligent, but not just in their subject, but also just generally everyone's interested in current affairs. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. This doesn't mean that we don't talk about all the drama that's going on in halls and all the other fun things and normal things that we would talk about. It just means that we can have really interesting discussions as well. The next message I received was, everyone says LSE is really competitive and fast-paced. How have you found it? Now, yes, there is a lot of work to do, and yes, it is very fast-paced. Personally, on the geography course, I have not found it to be competitive at all. I have some really good friends. They'll send me notes if I need them, and I can send them notes, and it's really quite a supportive atmosphere. But I have a feeling if you were on some of the other courses, like the maths or statistics courses, where maybe the careers that they lead to are a little bit more competitive and cutthroat, then the vibe might be a little bit different. But I was thinking of doing a video actually with some of the other students on my halls who do different subjects and talking about kind of the differences between our different departments at LSE. If that is something you would be interested in, please do leave me a comment down below and I will definitely look into doing that. Next question is, what is the most enjoyable part of LSE so far? Honestly, I think it would have to be the people. I've made such lovely friends on my course, in my halls. Everybody is just really, really friendly and really lovely. I do also really enjoy what I'm learning, but I've found that the people are the best part so far. Linked to that, the next question is, what is the worst part of LSE so far? And this is so easy to answer. The amount of different online platforms LSE has is honestly ridiculous. Our actual work for the week and the list of it is on Moodle, but then you'll find the reading is on the LSE library page. Some lectures are on Echo 360, other lectures are on YouTube. Your emails are on Office 365. And honestly, I'm just confused because each different platform has a different login, which is the most complicated part of them all. But I guess that's just a small thing that is annoying, and that's probably true of everybody who's dealing with online learning right now, so I can't really complain about that. The next question is, you said in your last video you share with roommates. Do you get on with them? Yes, I actually get on really, really well with my roommates, and it's really lovely to have a shared room, particularly at the moment during lockdown. It's quite nice just to have a bit of social interaction that's kind of guaranteed every day. And finally, is LSE just full of international students? There definitely are a lot of international students here, but I actually really like that. I think it makes for a kind of different vibe. It's also just really nice being able to appreciate what you have from a different viewpoint. That sounds really vague, but I'm going to give an example. So my roommate Hannah is actually from Poland, and when she first got here, I brought a tub of Heroes with us just to kind of share in the room. And she hadn't tried any of the chocolates, so it was really nice being able to go through, like, rate them with her and just hear her opinions on British chocolate. We were also able to explain Wetherspoons and the cultural significance that holds here in the UK, and also how to play netball because we were looking through the Student Union website. It's just little things like that it's really nice to be able to share those moments with other people from other cultures when they don't necessarily know things, because then you can learn from them and they can also learn from you. Seeing as I've made my poor roommates put up with listening to me filming this video for the past hour, I think we're going to end it there. I really hope you have enjoyed it, you found it interesting and insightful. If you have, then as always, do give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and if you have any more questions about LSE, as I say, feel free to DM me on Instagram or leave me a comment down below.